Hey, top of the morning to you. Oh my gosh. The show came up and I'm over here playing around. Hey, how are you? You know, I thought this was I thought I had a 2-minute video rolling and I just had a minute video rolling. And top of the morning to you. I'm Michael, as the grandkids call me Roo. And I was finishing up a book this morning because I got a lot of orders over the weekend, which is no one's complaining about that, right? But it means that I have to find my Sabbath in there somewhere. So I didn't get up as early as I should today, but who's complaining, right? It's Monday morning. Welcome to the show. Let me say hello to some of you, and then I'll get back to this in just a second here. This is, got a few more of these to do today. I love it when that paint runs together like that. Hey, let me just finish this, okay? Just let me just finish this. There's how it gets splattered right here where Roo. This is how I sign my books. Hey, Roo, what's a wheelbarrow? Gosh, I got so many projects in the fire that I don't know which fire I'm supposed to tend to, and that's a great thing too. I'm not complaining, folks, but I'll figure out how to get them all done at a date one of these days, and it'll be fun. I pray you're well this morning on a Monday morning. Thanks for joining me. I'm going to look at the show here in just 1 second. I'll come up, lift my head up, go to the screen, and see what's happening here. There. Let me let that dry over here. I'll sign it when we're done with the show today and get back to this. Let me say hello in person. Voila, there I am. So good morning to you again. Man, I'm glad you're here today, and I see all kinds of... Top of the morning to you, Terry Tardy. It's the first name I saw pop up here. Well, this is Jessica up there, and Tamberly and Patricia, thank you for being here. Shanlin, Alice Jordan, good morning to you. Shanoa, Irma, Donna... Don, I got a note. I'll respond to your note today. Thank you. Donna Bullman, Annette, good morning. Rue and crew, I love it. Carol Hodges, Mary Jones, Fern, thank you. Linda, Holly, Belinda, Barbara, good night. You guys just populate this show. I'm thankful that you have some time to just kind of chill for a little bit or hide out where you are. And I got pins all over the cotton pig. Look at this, just a whole handful of pins here that I got this morning. And wait. All right, I had to check on Dan. This is if Dan was okay. You know, when I hear the garage door up, and Dan's my, hey, look, I'm old. He's my elderly next door neighbor. He's a good guy, man. And he goes out and walks his dog, but he also sometimes needs a little something. Carol makes some soup, delivers it every now and then. Or I do, one of us does. Ooh, I have this roux, she said. Great. Yeah, that's the roux that I paint. That's my morning wake-up roux. Yvonne, Ruth Ann, thank you. Diane, Julie, Virginia, golly. Philip, thank you for jumping on this morning, buddy. And Teresa, Diane, Soha, Karen, Lori. Hey, thanks everybody for jumping on. Bob, thank you. Seeing a note from Bob every now and then in, the Iowa cornfields that you send me notes from. Lee Packus, good morning to you, buddy, from Baldwin, Florida. Lee, I love the fact that you sometimes say Orlando, sometimes say Baldwin, sometimes say down near wherever. You just make up wherever you are, brother. I know you well enough to do that. And Terry's saying to somebody she's from Oregon, too. So there you are. Good morning, Pat Brooks. Thank you for being on the show this morning. Haiti, welcome. Crystal, Judy, Michelle. Golly, you guys are just piling on this morning. The show's coming up, so let me do this. I'm going to skip through a lot of these. Ann, Jan, Lynn, Denise, Michelle, Carolyn, Christina, it is Christina, Brenda, Jan, Carolyn, got a lot of Iowans out there. You guys are up early, okay? So welcome to the show. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to paint let me go to the desk. Let me show you what's on the desk besides the 1,400 pins. Look, all these were just laying here this morning because, you know what I did, right? So some of you joined me Friday evening, and let me go to a shot here on PIP. There it is right there, picture in picture. Some of you joined me Friday evening as I painted from the art bar. So everything that is this computer, the microphone, the cameras, the lights, I have several of those lights. I pulled in another one downstairs. I had already decided to do that before we knew we had a friend, a dear family friend coming in for a couple days. So she and Carol were like... goofing off and baking and making and candlestick, whatever it is that old saying goes. And look at this. This is ridiculous, huh? This is just ridiculous. I can't. I got to clean some of this up. So she was I was going to paint downstairs. I said, I'm just going to paint at the art bar. I hadn't been down here in a while. So that meant, yikes, I got to clean up the art bar. And so I had to do all that. And then I had to move everything. And so it was like, so this morning I got up and I got dressed and I went and had some tea and I journaled a little bit. And then I suddenly realized, oh my gosh, where's all my studio? It's just scattered out everywhere. So I came up here and I sat down about 5 minutes before I started and I realized I didn't even have my paint up here this morning. I'd taken my paint and everything down. I could have painted out of my Altoid box. There it is right there. Love to paint out of this. In fact, I did a painting out of this yesterday. I did a little fun post. I did a picture of a post, I think. 3 images, just working on some camera skills and always working on something. You know what? You got to. Got to. Keeps you fresh, keeps you young, keeps you alive. All right, so there's my starting crew this morning. Right there they are. Got a few pens. There's a couple fountain pens in here. Actually, the more fountain pens than a person needs. 2 needle tip pens, American Journey number 3 brush, a bamboo brush, and here's a couple other bamboos. I've been bamboozled. I'll just leave that one over there. Okay, so anyway, glad you're here. These are aqua brushes. Some of you are getting into aqua brushes. Some of you already own these. I find that the best one on the market for me, and I've used about 5 different brands, so I'm not going to tell you all those brands that failed, but the brand that I like, it really is a Pentel one. They seem to have lasted the longest, and also they get really dingy and dirty. Notice that? And so I do take them apart every now and then, unscrew them, and I clean them out, and I pour a little bleach in there, and I wash all that out, because some of you over the years have asked me about mold and mildew and things like that. Watercolor, once it dries and there's no water in the presence anymore, you're not going to get mildew. But in these water brushes, you will get some bacteria that'll build up in there. So a little bit of wash out with Clorox every now and then will do that. And they come apart. They're not real easy to get apart, but they do come apart. Actually, they are. They're not bad. Some of these just unscrew like so. The little top comes off, and then you can reach and grab them and push this little head back, pop, and all this pops out. And you can soak all of that in a little dish with some Clorox, and then they come clean. This is a small one I carry in my bug out bag just for when I'm sitting in church. When I used to sit in church, well, actually 2 weeks. I didn't go yesterday. We watched from home, but I'll sit in my church and I journal with this. In fact, I'm going to leave this one laying out. It'll remind me of what I'm going to talk about today, a little bit about journal painting. Let's see if I put that right there. Give myself a note. Journal painting. We'll do that. All right, so let's get started on the painting here this morning. Thank you for jumping on. Friday evening was a blast. Thank you. Shannon says it's 42 degrees there. Sitting under a fan due to high heat and humidity. And wow, in Southwest Florida. Wow, I'm so... Yeah, humidity yesterday was here. The rain just hung over the area. And then at the end of the day, oh wait, I have to show you this. Nope, it's not up. Rats. I thought I had a photo there that I was going to swing and get, but I can't get it for you right now. I'll put a little video together like I was going to. Yesterday, I was working on a weather vane. It's a big rooster that Carol and I bought, and I've been unhappy with it because the bearing in the weather vane, well, it didn't have any. So we bought this beautiful weather vane, and I thought, this is just for aesthetic purposes. I wanted a weather vane that turned. So I wrote the company back and said, love it. It's beautiful. I'm impressed with it, except that there's some major engineering faults. It doesn't turn, and it's off balance, and there's an unlevel brazed place in the making of it that, where's your inspection guide? And they honestly got back to me and said, oh my gosh, we don't make them here, we just ship them. And I go, I know that, but you know the people that make them, so call them and say, hey, this guy wants his weather vane to do what weather vanes do. And so I was kind and nice and offered great grace, which I do in notes, and it got great response. She said, the lady sends me, she says, I'm so sorry. We contacted them, and anyway, what do you want to do? We'll refund you. I said, no, I want to keep the bird. I just want the money to put some bearings in it. So they sent me a refund for like $50 to put bearings in it. So I've been working on my weather vane, and I've got it to where it spins when the wind blows. It's what weather vanes are supposed to do. And I was shooting a video so I can use it for part of the show, and it was kind of dark and gray yesterday, and then Carol and I are finishing dinner, and she looks out and goes, what is the sky doing? And I'm going, it's got to be pink. That sends us running out. I shoot another shot of the weather vane, and then the sky was just remarkable. And then the neighbors were out. Dan was out, And we're all going like, don't you love it when a sunset pulls you out of your house to look? And some of you who live on the coast, you know, I lived on the coast for 12 years. And so I do miss the gorgeous sunrises and sunsets. So anyway, all right, here we go. Was I telling you a story and I didn't even, I was in my backyard yesterday, painted a little bit there. It was kind of a gray day out there, but I set up and did a little picture of my backyard. I did 3 pictures of me. That was my painting team. We get together on Sunday afternoons in the backyard. All right, here we go. I think this rooster needs to be looking backwards. Let me move it over a little bit here so you can see. Let me move my coffee cup there. But it's tea. Those of you who know what's in the cuppa. Let me start some music here. Thought I could. Maybe I'm not smart enough to do it. Here we go. Let's try this right here. There's a little something playing. It's for me. It's not for you, really. That sounds selfish, but I just need a little something back there in the background. All right. Yeah, Miss Carla, you would think that a weather vane company would make a weather vane that turns, right? But you know what? Most people just want them for the look on their boathouse or on their house, and they're inside. They don't know if it's turning or not. Me, mine's on the back deck. I want to know that when the wind's whooping that thing around. I like hearing it. All right, so here we go. A little Roo this morning, right here. I'm pushing over here so you can see the whole piece of paper and not my big head. Most of the time, you know, I start with a pen. I sketch with a pen. Very rarely do I sketch with a pencil, but I do. I did a pencil sketching on Friday night, but there was a lot of pieces that had to go into the parade. One of my favorite pieces that I do from time to time. It has little different pieces in it. Today I thought I'd do something that's a little more abstract. He's one of my Roos. He's going to be looking back over his head because he's impressed with his tail. Hang on, let me roll up my sleeves here because I'll have paint on them before I finished. And Mark Echo, who designed this shirt, is probably... who knows even if he's even around anymore. This is an old shirt that it must be fall, right? He's wearing I call this watercolor mud shirt. There it is right there. All right, so a little bit of face turning backwards here like this. There's his beak. There's his waddle. I think that's all I'm going to do. That's it. That's my composition. That's my space right there. I want him off to the side a little bit. I didn't want him here because I'd run out of tail space. I wanted him looking back over his shoulder. And then I'm just going to get a brush and start pouring on some water. Here we go. This is a bamboo brush. Notice what I do for those of you who joined me, certainly in Rue 857. Last week of Rue 857, September's coming up. There's still some space in October. I'll talk about that. In fact, I'm going to talk about one of the things I'm going to do in October just to give some of you, where's he going from here? He's had people painting this, that, and the other. I'll tell you all about it, maybe, if I don't forget. Here we go. I'd hate to take show notes because that'd mean I'd have a plan. Don't start making a plan now. You've been doing this for 130 days. All right, so here's just some water that I'm putting on the page. And notice I am brushing the water in the direction, well, you can't notice that. Let me see if I'm going to get you a little shimmer here. Look, there it goes. See it? See the light hitting it? Look what he's doing. Look what that guy's doing. He's actually painting the rooster with water. Who would have thought that watercolor could be the first thing that you lay down? Oh, it's water, it's color. And then wait and see what happens. Okay, that's the part I love. So here I am. I'm just putting a little watercolor in there. And I'm even looking into the light. You see me leaning over like this? I'm sort of watching where this is going. So now what I think I'm going to do is come in right here with my pen. That's where my legs are going to go in right there. And I'm just going to draw some big old toes. And I'll draw the other leg in a minute. All right? So see what I've done? I've used that as I've used these two pieces to know exactly where my Roo's standing. And now I'm just going to get some... what should I start with? A little bit of lamp black. Okay, just roll my brush in it a little bit here. I don't know if you can see that or not. I think you can, yeah. And then just go in here and let some of the watercolor follow the water. Just kind of shake it in there. In fact, watch this. Look, just turning my paper up a little bit. This is why I don't like to tape my watercolor paper down. Sometimes I might just want to get a little reckless and just let it follow the water. I love it when I go paint demonstrations at places And even like painting online like this for you guys. You've been such a great audience for so many months already, and to follow and to post and to like and to purchase paintings. And so what happens is when I do this, every time somebody in the audience who's an artist and who's a skilled or trained artist even, because if you're new at this, you don't know to be afraid of watercolor. But artists who either studied in school, they had somebody say, oh, be careful with watercolor. You will lose control. And I love the spontaneousness of just losing control. Okay? What if the world, I think it was Tom Sine, who was a writer one time, who said, I think, I could have this wrong, but I believe the subtitle of one of his books says, wherever two or more gathered, someone spills milk. And I love that concept. I thought, man, I wish I had written that. You know, sometimes you look at things and you go, I wish that thought had come to me. And but then I thought, well, no, Tom's just good. He can figure it out on his own. And but I love that. You see, there's the rooster tail, and that's just with water. I didn't draw that. I didn't sketch that. In fact, I really didn't paint it. I just used my brush as a tool delivery. It pulls up, drops the paint in. You like the sound effects? It's Monday. You know what Mondays are like. Okay, I can just do whatever. Most of the time, I just do whatever anyway. I feel like I'm painting in a doctor's office. What the heck is this music? Okay, nothing wrong with doctor's offices, except that you're usually only there for one reason. You have to see the doctor. All right, so I'm just sort of making a mess here as I go, picking up some of this yellow, letting it slide into my brush, hoping that this is going to catch on right here and see where they broke out of the line right here. Watch, I'll just put a drop of water there and watch it. Oh, it never is going to go on its own. Look. You see, this is already just kind of running down a little bit into the red, into the yellow, and I'm getting this mix on the paper that I really love. All right? Gracie says she likes this view. 2 cameras and your paintbrush and you speaking to us. Well, Gracie, thanks for joining the show, because I've been painting this view for 120-something days. Took me a while to figure this out. But thank you. See this brush? Thank you. So I'm glad you're on the show. Let's see. And thank you, the parade Friday night. Thank you, Pat, for liking the parade. The parade is fun. It's fun to see a painting go all the way from start to finish. And I know some of you want to see that. A lot of times you jump on the show and you go, hey, I'll be back to you next week when this dries. That's like an oil painting class, isn't it? Today we painted this little rock. Now come back next week and we're going to paint a chipmunk on the rock. I'm like, wait, I don't even remember the rock you painted in a week. So that's why I like watercolor too. It's unpredictable. It is spontaneous. It, you know what it's like? It's kind of like one of our life mottos. Carol and I, Crayola, Yaya, the woman with many first names, Carol Ann, Carolan. Carol means song, and she's a gypsy. I married a gypsy. She keeps one bag packed under the bed at all times. So if somebody comes by and says, hey, would you like to go too? She goes, where? That's her. So we used to have this, still do, kind of our life, and I adapted this into my office too. I have this concept that's called, we used to say that our personal mission statement, you know, companies have mission statements and visions, and we used to have this mission statement, I guess it's a personal mission statement ours was availability, spontaneity, and hospitality. And you go, wow, those are 3 great words, aren't they? Availability, spontaneity, and hospitality. And so I adapted another one that I threw up on the end of that it was called, I threw creativity in there, and then it gets just mush. It turns like the color of my shirt. But one was interruptions. The whole ministry of interruptions. So I had this, my daughter-in-law one time gave me an egg timer that was bigger than this. This is an 8x8 square. She gave me an egg timer that was probably a 10-inch dinner plate. And it was perfect. Like your little egg timers that you get, you know, when you're doing soft-boiled eggs, you turn it, and it goes, and then there's this little ring. So I mounted it right by my office door, and I had this office that was, the reason I can't paint is because I'm a storyteller, right? I had this office hallway that was like this. So there was this hall, there was a kitchen area over here, and this is why I like my camera down right here. So there was a big print shop office, and here's an office, and then there was an office here. That was my office. And there's another office, and then this is the wing into the stage and the theater. And so when I came in to work in this department and transitioned, there were also another group that worked back over here. So they had to come through here. So there were like several people in here, 2 in here, 1, 2 here. Anyway, so when I came in, they said, "Oh, where's this guy?" I was late to the party. They were hiring a new guy, so I was the new guy that had to sort all this out. They said, "Where do you want your office?" And I go, "I'm going to put my office here." And they went, "Really? You don't want your office at the beginning?" And I said, "No, because when I was a kid, I'd get in trouble and I'd have to go to the office and I had to walk that long hall. If somebody comes to the office now, I just want them to come around like this." So I put my office in the center of everything. And it wasn't even the biggest office. It was just a small office. And I said, and so my door stayed open all the time. But on the wall of this door, I hung that egg timer. And so people would walk by during the day and they would say, "Hey, you got a couple minutes?" And so I would get up out of my chair, and I'd walk over, and before I even invited them in my office, they'd be standing at the door like, "Hey, you got a couple minutes?" Well, what am I supposed to say? "No, come back." No. So I'd turn the timer to 10 minutes, and then I'd go, "I do now." And so they would go, "Oh my gosh!" And it was that little icebreaker that broke the ice well enough for them to kind of come in, and it was pretty fun. So they would come in, and so they would say, "Well, you just always seem like you're willing to sit down and visit." And I'm going, "Why wouldn't I be? I mean, I came here to work with you guys, so what's so important that you're the most important thing in here?" And so I'm not going to manage you. That's not my job. I'm not called to be your manager. I'm called to manage projects, and you're called to manage your part of that project. So get busy. What do you need? I can answer it for you. And if we don't have the answer, we'll make it up. And so that's kind of my process of managing and how I got into. But in that office, sometimes I do these little sketches, especially started later years when we turned the ministry concept around a little bit. I started doing different paintings in there that had to do with storytelling, journal stuff. And I was going to talk a little bit about journals today, so I might do that. But availability leads to spontaneity in meetings, and then you get into this hospitality. The availability leads to hospitality, which gets into spontaneity of saying, "Let's just grab and go do that right now." So we got all these things done that would have taken many, many years to do it. And so one way to transition, I transitioned to another office at another time, and I got rid of all the desks. That was kind of fun too. All right, look at this rooster. Has he got some great colors in him? So I'm talking in a painting. All right. Michelle Kirby, you're just picking up the live stream. Well, thank you for being here. We've been having a blast since March. So welcome aboard, says the Lord. Noah's kin clambered in. It's an old poem. What exactly is a bon vivant? And it's BONVIVANT. A bon vivant, look it up, Luann. Bon vivant is a purveyor of fine drink and food, and even more so. So my wife is a self-proclaimed bon vivant, who has a bon vivant club, by the way, and she's had wine glasses that are etched with bon vivant. And so some, like the woman that you saw if you were on the show Friday night, Erica is a bon vivant. And so Carol has a wooden spoon, and they're dubbed as bon vivants. These are dear friends, dear partners in life, raise children together. They're prayer partners. They live in all parts of the country, but there's some bon vivants out there. And so there we go. That's a bon vivant. It's a good word, actually. You'll hear it every now and then in a movie, maybe a movie that's starring Michael Caine. It can be a very French or British sounding word. He's a bon vivant. All right, so I'm mixing a little paint here. A little rougher on the brush when I mix. There's a little yellow coming in. This is bone. This is Gamboge or Gamboge, depending on which part of wherever, somewhere you grew up on. There's a little. I'm trying to get a little orange. You say, well, why don't you just use orange? Because I want it to be a little different hue of orange. I don't like chicken's legs to look like pumpkins, and that's just personal taste again. It's like all frogs should not just be one color green. Come on, they got white, they got black spots in them, they got yellow, they got a little blue, they got a white throat. If you're a frog painter, I actually was going to get into painting frogs for a while, and I thought they were the coolest, and I also think they're good storytellers. I mean, the ones we have in our little pond, which is a landscape pond, so don't be thinking I live on some big gigantic pond. It's almost 4 by 6 feet. So they could have a little ski boat out there if they wanted. They'd have to build it. I'm not making it for them. All right. I like sketching with pens. You all know that if you've been sketching with me for quite a few days. I just like making this stuff up as I go. I don't like necessarily having this long, outrageous plan. I do like the tail on this Roo, though, man. He's got some gumption. And remember, that was just water. I couldn't even hardly see it the first few pieces that I laid down. This is a flare pen. Some of you go, I know you're old enough to know what flare pens are. If you're not, back in 1941 it was invented, but a papermate didn't buy it until later in the 50s and 60s. They started making flare pens. They look like this most of the time. And these are the old ones. These are the ones that have the ribs on the side. Now they've come out with a smooth barrel. I use these in my journaling sometimes just because I love them. I don't like them to paint with necessarily, but that's what I started with. The other day when I was doing a piece for Rue 857, I talked about just starting with flare pens for about 2 years. I didn't really have good watercolors. I just carried around the best little pack I could find, and it wasn't until I started discovering watercolors that come in tubes like this that I could put them in trays. This, of course, is American Journey watercolor. You can use any paint you have or that you love. I'm not telling you that's the best. It's the best for me because I started with it, and I love the flow of it. I love it, the texture, and I also love the fact that it's very bold, and I felt like my roosters needed to be bold. Now, see, this wasn't even paint at all. That was just that flare pen, and I laid it down there and just scribbled under it. So I've been talking to the people on the painting class a lot about finding their own style and what's going to be their storytelling or not their Roo, but what their storytelling character. So that's kind of what I've been working on a little bit with them. In October, I'm going to jump into journals a little bit. All I'm doing here is dipping a small little bitty brush in some of that paint and just splattering it a little bit that you really can't see, but I just don't like, I don't like paintings that have everything painted in, so I leave a lot of space unfinished. I like theater in my paint, my paintings, and so I'm just suggesting a little bit of sky with some blue splatter. There's a little bit of yellow that just spilled on the page up there, so I might go in, wrap that, which is just a touch of blue around it like this. And that sky yesterday had some amazing reds in it, so I'll just put a little streak of something up there to give us a little cloud cover. Pull this down a little bit like so. If that's too much, I can take this and just paper towel it off a little bit. I think we need a little bit of, this is a fountain pen, and I'll do this from time to time just because I can. How's that for an answer? And I'm going to do his eye with that fountain pen right there. And I'm going to put a little bit, my style tends to be whimsical and a little messy. And so, yeah, this music is a little slow for what I'm painting, but, it's working. I'm hanging in there. My grass is just little strokes of the paint like that, a little red. So there you go. There's the Roo. I'm going to sign it right here. Roodoodles. Those of you who just joined me, I've been doing this for a long time. Seems like forever. But I love it. It's been fun for you to take this ride from me painting during COVID. And, man, I pray for our country in lots of ways, but that we'll just get through this and come back to a time. I think we're always going to be looking at life a little differently and through a different lens. So be creative. Find a way to be creative, okay? I don't know what this rooster's saying yet, but I like that he's saying something. Here's what I think he needs. I think he needs a little more beef in his beak. So see, I just went in there and I added. I looked at it, and I'm going to go get a little yellow paint, put right here, touch it right here. I'm actually going to drop some of this yellow right up there in his comb. I almost said crown, but I think you can see why. There is my Terry Tardy turquoise right there. I put it in there. Y'all didn't think I was, but I just like to throw a few extra colors in there every now and then that people don't expect. Very rarely do you use white paint in watercolor, but I'm going to slide over here and just get a little titanium white. Just roll my bamboo brush in it right there a little bit. I think you can see me doing that. Yep. And then I'm just going to take this pen and slap some of it on as almost like a spill. There it is right there. Just let that fuzz out. Just take the water and mushroom out a little bit, as I call it. The only detail I'd come back in and put in here is some veining, which I can do now. Feet are dry enough to do that. I look good. All right, every rooster should have that. Every rooster who walks across the yard probably needs a hen to push him down in the mud every now and then, but he should say, I look good. Okay? One thing I have not liked about COVID is when you go to the grocery store, it looks like I couldn't tell whether people were going to bed or just getting up. I'm going like, go get dressed. Don't come to the grocery store in your pajamas. Okay? Did I almost get on my soapbox there? All right, so there's the painting this morning. There's the first one. Holy smokes, I told a story and came into that. But don't you like that? Isn't that fun? So here's the thing. If you're painting dogs or bears or cats or flowers, man, you can make a flower out of this in a heartbeat. You know, you could do flowers with your water first. You could come back in with a pencil. My daughter is a genius at coming back in with a layout pencil. It's called a 555, I think, artist layout pencil. This one's broken right now. I should sharpen it. But she comes back and just does what some artists are afraid to do, sketch after the fact. This is the century where we have great technology, but they still don't make pencil sharpeners like they used to. I just would like, my son actually has one, the little gray unit that clamps on the side of the desk. It has a crank on it. Man, don't you love those? My dad taught me to sharpen pencils with my pocket knife, and I still do it today. And you don't ever sharpen away from yourself because you're just choppy and you have no control. But when you're sharpening a pencil like this, you have tons of control. And everybody says, aren't you afraid you're going to cut your thumb? And I'm going like, my thumb's not even in the way. Look, there's the camera shot. It's that far away. Look, see? My thumb is not here. My thumb is down here underneath. And look, I'm just using this. Oh, look at the point on that pencil. Dang, I love it. All right, so she could come back in here. Maybe I'll turn it up like this. This is why I like keeping my watercolor paint loose, and I'll just put in a little pencil mark around here. Somebody will look at this and say, oh my gosh, look at that. That artist, he didn't erase his lines. What's the matter with him? Oh, he would have failed my art class. I would have failed all art classes. I was the guy that... What's David Wilcox? I played a song by him last week. He has a song called The Kid. And the kid is, I'm just a kid who ran away to join the circus, but now I'm watering elephants. I was that kid. Going like, I'm going to be the high wire guy. And I go, man, I'm not doing that. I'll be the guy they shoot out of the cannon. I'm going like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going like, I'll water the elephants. So I was that kid. And so I was the kid who needed a bicycle. And so I went and bought all these parts and learned how to weld them together and made my own bicycle. I'm going like, and then I did that later in my life when I had a motorcycle. I took the header off my motorcycle, and this guy sent me this whole box of snowmobile pipes and exhaust, and I made this weird-looking exhaust. And I took my bike to a race one time, and this guy goes, what is that thing? And I'm going like, I don't know, but it's fast. Hey, man, just live a little bit toward the edge. What's that old saying? If you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space. So get your mind to think outside the box sometimes. I like this painting. I'm going to post it. Somebody will want this hanging on their wall. Somebody will. And that's what I love about doing art. Hey, let me talk about journals a little bit today, just for fun for the whole group. I'm certainly going to spend a lot of time in October. In Rue 857, if you want to sign up for that class, it starts the second week of October. You can go to roodoodles.com, roodoodles.com. That's Roodoodles, one word, roodoodles.com. The thing about that class is it's going to be a continuation with some of those people who are traveling over with me. Some of you are already in line at the September door, and it's closed to you. Everybody will be getting it's on my subscribe list, and I'll put out another link today. I'll send you an email of where you exit to. And the reason you have to exit, it's no big deal to exit. You just click, and you'll go there. You'll populate it, and I'll let you in. It'll be probably halfway through the first week of October before we start. I'm taking a week off of not painting and getting all of this cleared away and then coming back in fresh for October. But we're going to pick up where we left off, just painting. But also, and I'll be telling this to the class to Wednesday, but to all you people who are involved in this, some of you are crossover, many of you the same audience, we're going to talk a little bit more about journals and just small paintings, and how that can help you get better at big paintings and also help your focus as an artist. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to spend some time talking about journals. I did a little thing to the class with the class on Friday morning or maybe Saturday morning. I did a little piece about these journals right here. These are tiny little journals that I started painting in. These are made by Moleskine. Moleskine. Whoops, almost knocked everything off there. These are just little roosters when I started, and the first one has a little piece of tape on it because I keep looking. There it is right here. I put a little white piece of tape on it so I could hustle through. This was number one, and this is how I started, just little journal paintings. And then one day I painted a cup, and then I found out my name was German Han. My family had been telling me this all my life. This was literally 2007. So here's Rue, and then Roodoodles. Man, wouldn't that be a great name? And so I found it. I did a copyright. I also just bought the domain, roodoodles.com. And then I started painting these roosters with flare pens. And what happened was they all looked like they were saying things. And so I started using captions. Of course, I'd already painted a shrimp before that, and I had painted a crab before that, and my wife told me, wow, both of those are really good, but you should paint roosters. So she was ahead of me. It just took me a while. So here's a blank one that I never finished. So see, here's a painting that I just did the other day. Look at this. Sometimes they reoccur. Let me see if I can find this painting. Is this it right here? Hold it. Wait just a second here. I've got this painting. So don't leave me. Hang with me. I'm finding it. It's not that one. I do like that painting, though. That painting became a tea towel that I did last year. And it says, here's an idea. Let's eat out. So I think I'm going to do an apron like this one day. I think I'm going to do a big white kitchen apron that has this logo on it. It says, I got an idea. Let's eat in. So I think it should be that as a kitchen apron. So look at this. It says, I want fresh coffee now. So that's a little demanding. And then I wrote this caption that says, you know where the kitchen is. So this turned into a painting. And look, there it is right there. Look at that. My gosh. Looks like I blew that up, and I didn't. All right. So let me show you how one of these go real quick. And this is why I like for you to carry pens with you. If you want to be a better artist, work on it all the time. Don't think that the only place you can be an artist is sitting down at your artist garret, your writer's desk, your writer's garret, the little alcove you've carved out. I hope you have a place. I hope you have a place where you can be a little messy and creative, and you don't have somebody coming in going like, why is all this mess here? And you go like, because I leave a big wake when I go through life. So I need brushes surrounding me, and I need books, and I need journals, and I think I do anyway, so just let me alone. Let me create. So sometimes what I'll do is I'll just take a pen, and I'll just take these. This is how this started. And I'll take a fine tip one like this, and I'll just draw a little Roo. Let me just do the Roo I just did, okay? So you get a feel for how that is. That way I'm not changing, but so there's the little head looking backwards. Oh, change him a little bit. There's let his leg go straight down. Here, and let this leg go down too. All right, can you see that? Yeah, there we go. All right, let me blow this up just a little bit so you can see what's happening. All right, look, this, do I have my measuring tape up here? Somewhere in my mess? Yeah, look at this. See how big this is. What's that? 5.5 by 3.5. Okay, so 3.5 by 5.5. A little bigger than a index card. This is moleskin, and it has a little different wrapper around it. It's like watercolor paper. All right, here we go. I'm going to pull this up just a little bit right here. And I think I had hide sitting on there the whole time. Sorry. Been a crazy morning. All right, so look. Now I'm just going to take a red felt tip. These are flares from the 60s. You can still buy them today. And I'm just going to put a little red up here in this comb. And a little red here. No, I just put a little red right there too. Okay? All right. Then I'm going to take a little bit of blue. Here's some blue right here. I'm just going to take this blue and roll it in right here. There we go. That's enough. Take a little bit of black. I'm painting it a little bit like the rooster that I just painted so you can see what's happening here. Are these the greatest watercolors in the world? No. Actually, they're pretty poor. But the point is, it doesn't matter. Here's a little yellow pen right here. A little bit of yellow beak. A little yellow coming down on his neck. This is an interesting trick. This is kind of a straw-colored one. All right? And I'm not doing this because I'm rushing for the show. This is just how I'm wired. I like to see this come together pretty fast. Now look, I'm going to take my yellow one, put the tops back on. I'm going to take an orange one, and I'm going to go over the yellow with the orange flare. See that? And then let's put, let's see, what colors did I do? I did a little bit of yellow. We'll do some of this straw down in here like this. There's a little bit. We did a little bit of, let's just add a little purple down here on the bottom end of this rooster. I always like to call it the bottom end. We've got a little more black down here, so let's come in with some black lines like this. Okay. What else we got? Got a little bit of green. We'll come under with a little touch of green right here. All right, and then let's put a little bit of blue right in here on the top end, coming down, maybe where the wing would be. All right, so there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, so I'm traveling. I'm having the oil changed on my car. I'm out and about somewhere, and I got this little book with me, and I got 3 or 4 pens in my bag. I'm going to take my little aqua brush. And Yuri says you must have gypsy in your blood. Haiti, I see you're asking about a color. Yeah, just go to their scale. It looks like they are maybe discontinuing Gamboge. Just get the darkest orange. They're actually coming out with a new Gamboge or Gamboge. Be Mo, Larry, and Curly every day. Michael Ashburn, you're a crazy man. You better get busy, buddy. I'm calling you after the show. You got a lot of work to do today. Banquets. My buddy that I always just give a hard time to. He needs a hard time. My dear friend. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this, and I probably let some of this set just a little too long because I was showing you all the colors I can put in. Sometimes I'll just do the color as I go, but watch what's happening here to this little painting. So you're going like, well, I can see all your lines. Of course you can. My point is that I just painted this little rooster, and I'm just going to let him. There's another water brush right there. This is a design I don't like here. This is not my favorite. In fact, I don't like this one at all. In fact, see ya. So, sorry, got carried away. Almost put that. I did put that in my watercolor paint over here. See, sometimes you just get messed up. I like this straw colored one. No, that's a good color. So what's happening is these lines are just breaking down, and this is coming together. So when I was learning to paint roofs like this, see, I'll just let them bleed and bleed. Look at this. It's all just bled felt pens, and they all have certain things that they have to say. And they have notes in them. And there's a crab. My gosh, I didn't even know that was in there. Okay? So this to me, was that a pelican? Yep, must have been on the beach that day. So my point is that I have worked out a lot of paintings in this size. So if you're not journaling in something, you can create, and you want to be a better artist, do that. I don't mean you have to write something every day of, Carol writes what she had, where she was, and what she saw. She doesn't write, oh, today I thought about this or thought about that. But she keeps a little journal. I could say, hey, you remember when we were in Charleston and she goes, oh yeah, and we ate so-and-so? Remember we went over at that gallery and we looked at it and we're like, oh yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. She can do that in a flash. That's just because that's how her brain is. Oops. There's the box right there. You know what? I keep my iPhone boxes for this. Isn't that great? I don't know if you think it is or not, but let me show you a couple other journals just for fun here this morning. This is another moleskin, and this of course is my work journal. So these are all lists from my projects that I do. There's the one I showed you the other day where I was out painting a leaf and a fly. There's the leaf right there. But this is more of a work list. People in here and how I do work list. Folks I'm in contact with. This of course is a journal that I started in back in 2005. So you can see these little paintings that are in here. All sorts of things. There's Picasso. There's Peach. There's the Washington National Cathedral. There's look at this. Look at this. You see this? Fresh produce from local farms, cut flowers from the corner market. I'm in Washington, D.C. I watched over a dozen people, including myself, photographing these flowers. The flea market, the antique. What could have been more comfortable on Saturday morning in this street of just watching some people sell their treasures? And so anyway, I had this with me. Look at this. There. We bought like 3 of these at the museum, and that's what I was painting out of. All these pictures in here were painted out of this. Is it great watercolor? No. Did that matter to me at the time? No. Okay? There's people, there's cities, there's miniatures, there's comments, there's quotes, there's comparing noses. There's a boat. There's miniature chairs. Come on. So why did I do this? I did this to practice my craft. Today, every day I sit down in the mornings with a cup of tea, and look what's happening here. I am fast-brained. Look what's happening here. You see how all this is running together and maybe making a nice little collage of colors. I painted a small Bible, and here it is right here. This is just the Gospel of Matthew. But as I read, the cool thing about this Bible is that it has a page, and then it has a blank page. And this is pretty good paper. It's pretty thick. They were geniuses when they thought, let's put a piece of paper in there. Don't buy a journal that's notebook paper. Buy a journal that has better paper that'll hold a little bit of color. Not a Sharpie, but that will hold a good pen. So what I do is I just paint the story. So as I see a little story coming along, maybe some of you have seen this one. This is about consider the birds. And this bird says, hey, put some of that in the barn. They're all out collected. He says, back off. We get fed by our Heavenly Father. You're acting like the Pope and you're just a cardinal. Wasn't taking a shot at the Catholic Church. I was just thinking that we all get uppity sometimes. And so here's 3 little sketches. There's a bread, and a fish, and a snake, and there's gates, and there's a board in your eye. Here's a house on sand. So all I got to do now is I look at this and I go, I know the story that's in there. There's birds. Here's some pigs going over a cliff. Look, I'm not trying to preach you a sermon today. I'm just showing you. Here's a cornfield. Bob, this is for you. There's a cornfield. See how fast that cornfield comes together? Shake off the dust. There's a cup of water. Whoa. There's a word you find. Okay, so you see what I've done? This is what's revealed to children. I drew this little girl dancing. So she's just a scribble. And this is grains of wheat. And this is a withered hand. And here's a tree that's supposed to have fruit. But here's an ant saying to the grasshopper, where's the fruit? So for me, here's a sign of Jonah. And I thought, oh, here's Nineveh. And so Nineveh's that way. So the arrow's telling the whale. He's taking directions, okay? So you see what's happening here? Here's one that I didn't even finish today. So it looks like there's a boat and a person and people on the beach, and I'll finish painting it. And it's great to take a little thing like this as I sit at the breakfast table and maybe a little pen like this and just let some color go in. And not much. See that? And then maybe just let the color of the pen itself bleed in. Can you see what I'm doing there? Just now you realize it's a boat, right? Yeah. And you see all these people over here, and there's some color there. Look how fast this goes. I'm not creating this for anyone but me. Okay, done. Here's my sketch. What was that? 20 seconds? 30 at the most? So learn to journal, and you will love what happens to your big art projects. So that's my teaching thing for the moment. Let's see here. Catch up on a couple comments from you. I've been painting pumpkin legs lately. Oh, pumpkin legs. I see. You've been painting your legs on any of your poultry too orange, maybe you're saying, because if pumpkins have legs, I've missed something there. Chris Whitaker says, I'm going with stories of frogs right now. They can do anything. Yeah, frogs are pretty amazing. We have 5 frogs in our little pond, and they respond to Carol's voice. So when she comes out, or when she sits on the porch and makes a call, the frogs go, roll, roll, and they start going like, hey, she's going like, okay, I hear you. And then they literally come up, and we don't feed them. They feed themselves on whatever's in the little pond. But some of you in the work that you're doing already, I'm seeing pictures of it, and I'm seeing it posted on Roost Crew. You're fantastic already. You just think that don't be stymied by thinking that you're going to be limited by doing big pieces of art and your art selling somewhere and where it's got to go. No, just do your art for you for the first few years. Look, it took me 2 years to probably fill up all these journals, and just working on ideas that would come together. So I took a few flare pens, a small brush, and in fact, I started in Washington. I think I had this little brush right here and those little paints. I think this was how everything that I started with right here. That's that, and this other journal is what I took with me. That fits in my bug out bag. Now I carry everything in there. In fact, I've been kicked out of 2 museums because I had a pocket knife. I was kicked out of the Air and Space Museum, and sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave the building now. They asked me to leave at the Air and Space, not because I had a knife with a blade on it. That wasn't what bothered them. What bothered them was that I had the knife that had a Phillips screwdriver, because they were afraid that I would steal something from off the wall. I said, this blade is completely legal for me to carry anywhere in the country except on an airplane. They said, well, you can't, yes, the blade is fine. I'm going like, okay, then what's the problem? Well, it's a Swiss Army knife. And I said, yes. Don't you love what the Swiss have done with knives? And he goes, yes, but it has a Phillips screwdriver on it, so you could remove something from the wall. So I said, so you're calling me a thief before I've even walked through your museum? And I've been in this museum 50 times. Okay, 8. So I just left. I said, okay, I'm gone. So I went outside, and I dug a hole in the flower bed, and I buried my knife. I put a little stone over it, and I came back in. He goes, we have to check you now. And I said, I'm not carrying it. He goes, what'd you do with it? And I said, I'll never tell you. I love just messing with people. It's so fun. Okay. Denise said she painted a vulture yesterday. Just need 1 color for that, Denise. Well, maybe 2 colors, a little brown and a little black. Okay, so, hey, I've got about 10 minutes to go, and I got to do something here. So I've showed you my journals. I'm encouraging you to think differently by painting in journals, and I think that'll help you as you move along and decide what kind of art style you're going to go. This sounds a lot like my Wednesday class because everything's wrapping up here, and I'm going to keep doing this class. I'm also going to do a November class, and that's going to be fun. Just saw this video. Do you do something to the paper in the book you're painting on? Suzette, no, I do not. That's why I buy good paper to start with. But let me tell you about moleskins. Let's see. Let me tell you about journals just for a second. Look, this is field notes, okay? Y'all familiar with field notes? All right, these are field notes pages. This is not for painting. So when you buy a little journal like this and you try to paint on it, you're probably going to get in big trouble pretty fast, okay? Because the markers are going to go through. However, this has a little bit of a coating on it. Field notes do it right. These people are brilliant. And look why I have this one, right? One year or one season, Field Notes put a rooster on their journals, and I don't think these are available anymore. And so, anyway, what happens is I buy better journals. So the Moleskine journal, they do make one that says watercolor on it, or it says for painting or mixed media. It has a lavender band around it. Don't just buy one that's like, oh, 200 sheets of thin paper. It's like painting on it's like painting on notebook paper. All right, so this is a Strathmore journal, and these are expensive, but wait until you get a 50% coupon on the big box store. And this is 140-pound watercolor paper, and these are the journals that I use like for note taking. In fact, look, there's a vine, and it's got some color on it, but this is as good as your watercolor paper. It's not 100% rag cotton, and it's not even 100% cotton, but it's great for journal ideas and things that you knock out on like that, okay? All right. The moleskin itself is this journal here, and I don't think I have my other. So this is the one that's the watercolor. There's no number on here. It's just going to be on the label when you buy it, and it's going to say. And so this is thick paper, and it has a coating on it that'll take markers, and so I don't do anything to it. The problem with that is if I have to. The problem with preparing papers and canvases for me is that all that takes time. And by that time, the idea that I had and what I was going to do is gone. So I want to buy a piece of paper that's ready to go, and I want to put my idea down. And that's how I'm in a journal. So when I'm walking around and I go, ooh, I want to do something on that, I immediately want to grab and go. And I want to paint it right then. And then I want to set it aside and let it dry for a couple minutes while my coffee pot is getting in shape at the... or my coffee's brewing, my tea water is hot, and I'm ready to go. This journal here, which I show people from time to time, and I know some of you have seen this over and over, but it's like looking at art. This is called a Japanese journal, and it is made by Moleskin, and it has the same paper as the watercolor journals, and it turns like an accordion. You know what I'm talking about when I say turns like an accordion? All right, time out here. We're going to go way wide here. There's the wide shot all the way across my desk. This is an accordion journal. Look, all these pages are connected. Okay? All right. And this is 10 feet long. All right, you see, there's the shot. If you look up in the little circle, you see it, all those pages coming out, they're all connected. Okay? So, I carried one of these around for quite a while before I realized what I was going to do in it. And then, of course, when I went to France a year ago today, I was in France. On the 26th or 7th, I think I flew over there. Yeah, 24th to October 1st, I was in France. So I did this 1 year ago today. And so I started here, traveling across here, and we're off. That was our flight out of Atlanta. And then there's the inside of the airplane, and they're stopping to get, here's the lingerie. Here's Sennelier. Here's the train to Giverny. So here's Montmartre. We went up to watch the artist and had some coffee there. We bought an original piece of art there. Here's the Eiffel Tower, everything in blue. So this is just journal. So look at this. When I get back, I have this. This is why I want you to do small works. Look at this. I have this storyline. It just goes on and on and on and on, and it's 10 feet long. And there are probably, I don't know how many images, I should count, see how many images I have in here. My point is this, there are 21 pages, and to me, this is my photo journal. And so I went to speak to a group of third graders last year, I think along about November. And so I said to them, you know, I just got back from France, and they're going like, who cares? And I said, but I'm doing what you guys are doing right now. I'm learning how to draw. So they got interested, and so I asked two people to come up, and they opened up my journal, and they kept opening it up, and the whole class at the same time went, oh. And immediately they got busy about drawing small things and the things that happened daily to them. Stepped in bubble gum. Yeah, I got a painting like that, and so the type of cheese and the knife in the cheese, and they just go on and on and on. And I think what you're missing sometimes is just those little things that could show you what you do during the day that could make your art change a little bit. Okay, so I want you to consider learning to paint like that. And what do I have to do to make you think that I just painted some cheese here? You know? Do I have to add a little more yellow, which is not even a color that most cheeses have naturally? It's mostly white. It's mostly grays. It's got a little dark in it, and so I can pull that dark in with a little Payne's Gray. The holes in it are a little darker here. Just let that pen bleed. This is why I like pens that bleed. And then maybe I could just draw here a little knife blade that has a bone handle, and it's all laying here like this. And so I'd come back and I'd do this handle in brown bone, and I'd do the blade in kind of a grayish tone like so. Just let the pen bleed. And then suddenly I have the makings of a little painting that for my journal. Okay, you see how fast that is? And then if I wanted to, I could come back in and I could just do this. I could do. This is how you mess up a good cheese painting right here. Go get some tacky gray and you just put it right here like that. And everybody just went, oh my gosh, there's a mouse behind the cheese. Okay, so then what I would do in Roo style is that I would go in here and I'd paint the mousetrap. It's a vector, okay? So the mousetrap is going to be painted with a little bit of wood color, and then it's got a black spring across the middle of it, or silver spring, but it's got a little copper-looking trigger mechanism here. Maybe a little red touch here for detail, and it's got a little bit of black coming in like this here. Okay, so now you get the story. So now there's a story, right? Okay, so now I've painted a painting with a story. All right. Journal stuff makes you better at big stuff, okay? So get busy. Carry something with you every day if you want to be a part of being a storyteller. Hey, it's 10 o'clock. I got to go. Look out, mouse. There you go. Sherry, think about it. Your next trip to Paris. Man, Paris, what a town, huh? There's a million things to sketch in Paris. But guess what? There's a million things to sketch in your backyard. You got a bird's nest. You got a small step where you feed a peanut to a chipmunk. Mary Jones says needs a cracker. I think that's a parrot, Mary. It's Polly needs a cracker. All right. Love the pull-out journal. That's funny. Your husband and you, Pat, that's crazy. Y'all were in France at the same time. May have passed you on the streets. Isn't that amazing? Okay. I only spent 2 days there. I actually went south to Brittany. And remember the grapevine, Isabel says. Eat one grape at a time. Ah, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Hey, thank you guys for being on today. I'm going to paint tomorrow. And we will take off on another project. I got a painting I'm going to lay out for you. But I want you to think about where you've been going with this. And one of the things I'm going to do for 857, and I'm going to continue to do for Roo 857 in October, is where do you go from here? Now that you've watched this and you've heard all these stories and you rattle around a little bit, do you really want to get busy painting it or not? Pick up some pens and paint. And don't think you have to have everything in right place. Those of you who are type A non-loose painters, don't wait until you get all of the tools in the toolbox to start. Start now with what you have. Start today with a pencil and doodle something today. It's a box. What's in the box? I have this go-to doodle that I do all the time, and it's a truck. And sometimes it's a bad one, but my point is when I'm here, I just do all sorts of things on this piece of paper that I keep here, and then I'll paint them all in. Okay? So I want you to be creative. I want you to be busy. Hey, before you finish your last sip today, write down 2 names. There's mine. Tim and Tim. Write down 2 names and send one of them. And Chris Whitaker, if you love Strathmore paper, you're going to love Fluid 100 or Kilimanjaro or Fabriano. Woo! Next time, go get some 100% rag cotton and watch what happens to the color in your paintings. Okay? That's a great sound effect, isn't it? Might go out on that today. Hey, be blessed. Send somebody a note. Send somebody a storytelling idea. Send somebody a text and say, hey, hope you're doing okay today. Get an idea. I want to challenge you for something. Let you and I just draw something every day and check in with me and see what it is. Don't send it to me. Just tell me over the phone. What is it? What are you going to sketch today? I'm going to sketch a small biscuit with some butter and jam. Ooh, I got to go make some biscuits. All right. I'm out of here like a herd of turtles or a passel of frogs. I'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:57. If you want to sign up for October, please do so. The books are at roodoodles.com. Also, coming next week, a sign up for November, Rue 857. Yep, you have awakened a sleeping giant here, but I'm going to do Christmas paintings. We're going to do some Christmas trees. We're going to do some Christmas ideas, and I'm going to show you how I use my painting characters, which are my roos, to paint the Christmas story. All right, I'm out of here. Kitcha-coom, kitcha-coom.